As you all know, I'm Fred Weston, your CEO here at Hathaway Jones. I was recruited to this U.S. clothing retailer in 2003, and I was chosen because your board of directors thought I could, as they put it, wake up this company's sleepy and conservative image. And looking at our research, it's easy to see that the company's image is getting old fast, and our numbers have been declining for several years. But since I arrived here 4 years ago, we have helped our bottom line by the way of outsourcing some of our production. But a total image overhaul will have to be our long-term solution. The fact is, the younger generation is looking for lower-priced clothing with more flair. So we'll most definitely be attempting to revamp our current lines. But I'm hoping our home run will be us entering into the global market. China's luxury goods market has been growing at a ridiculous pace. Some reports show it at 70%. Now, we've been following their market for the past 4 years, and we think the time has come for our expansion. But we have to jump in and fast. We've already started laying the groundwork by earmarking millions of dollars to open new stores in 3 of China's largest cities. So with these plans in place, I couldn't be more anxious to assemble a winning team to get this thing moving. Now for the reason I've called you here today. I have a decision lingering that I need your input on, and that brings me to Mimi Brewster. For a brief history, Mimi is the daughter of an old roommate of mine, John Brewster. John is an expatriate who works in Shanghai as a freelance writer for a number of U.S. newspapers there. Their family all speak fluent Mandarin and the local dialect. Mimi returned stateside in 1998 to pursue an undergraduate degree at Berkeley, where she majored in Chinese history. She later obtained her MBA from Stanford. Following graduation, she was recruited by one of our largest competitors, Eleanor Gaston. While she was there, Mimi showed a sharp eye for the impulsive taste of the younger generation. She also helped successfully relaunch 2 product lines. She's been referred to as aggressively creative, opinionated, and a risk taker. These traits, combined with her impeccable resume and Chinese background, could be the key that could now drive Hathaway Jones forward in our venture. But here's our problem. Shortly after my first meeting with Mimi, Virginia and HR uncovered some unpleasant information about Mimi by way of a Google search. Story is, 8 years ago, when Mimi was 21, she was the leader of a non-violent group who mobilized campaigns against the World Trade Organization, humane treatment of a dissident journalist. We even found a newspaper photo of Mimi sitting outside the Chinese consulate during this protest. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with her political views or her dedication to what she believes in. I actually think we need more of that spirit at Hathaway Jones. This incident has the potential to be a major stumbling block for us if we were to bring her on board. This protest that she led against China's treatment of a dissident journalist in itself makes her a dissident to the Chinese government. And it goes without saying that we do not need anything working against us on this unprecedented venture. However, I do think Mimi possesses a lot of the pieces of the puzzle that we are trying to fill. And I do have the responsibility to this company to hire the best people I can find. People with Mimi's credentials and life experience do not come a knocking on my door every day. So the question for you is, how do you interpret this situation, and should I hire Mimi or not?
Well, Mr. Weston, I feel that hiring Mimi would be in the best interest of the company. The first reason is that Mimi appears to be a very aggressive, creative, risk-taking candidate. Fred, you remember what the company was like before you stepped in. It was falling apart. You were able to piece it back together, and I feel that Mimi has some of those same successful qualities. Also, her degree in Chinese history and her MBA degree, coupled with the fact that she has successfully relaunched 2 brands in her career, make her a very impressive candidate. Her success with Eleanor Gaston is not something to be taken lightly. A third point I would like to mention is the fact that she lived in China. She understands the culture, the customs, the government, and what is expected of her. She is a remarkable candidate, and I feel that not giving her a chance due to a Google posting would be wasting her talent, and our company would ultimately suffer. A last point is that Mimi appears very interested in bettering herself. She is willing to make sacrifices and take risks to see that it happens, and all the while, she will be steering Hathaway Jones in the direction that you were recruited here to take us. Mimi knows the business. And as she mentioned during her interview, Fred, she feels that a store is more than just the look and feel of a brand. It is a woman's fashion fantasy. She would not be able to make that kind of statement without solid experience. Yes, I know what we found on Google about her, and I know that if the right person were to dig that up and run with it, there could be a backlash on our company. I think we should confront her past decisions head on. We also need to find out precisely how she feels today on that subject, and if we can come to an agreement. Then you can lay out exactly what you expect her to do and not do as a representative of Hathaway Jones. So yes, there are risks involved. However, in my opinion, the reward of hiring Mimi outweighs the risk of missing out on this incredibly talented candidate. I feel that she is exactly the person we need to move our plans ahead. By looking at her resume and listening to what you have said about her, Fred, I truly believe that she can move the company forward in China. Her experience will allow her to take the customer's wants and ideas to mind, and she is creative and aggressive enough to translate those wants into something tangible that will make this company expansion in China a successful venture. She is a terrific choice, one that I feel we need to count ourselves fortunate to have attracted. We do not need to let her go.
Well, I see it differently. I don't urge you to hire her, Fred, because although Mimi has some solid qualifications, she doesn't have a practical experience in China. For all of her language skills and her background studies about China, 30 years old is still a very young age and she doesn't have enough experience to play this very high-profile role. Hathaway Jones is opening its first store in Shanghai, and the firm needs a manager who can build a constructive relationship with the local government. So, hiring someone without the right skills and attitudes could hinder the company's ability to succeed in this market. Although Mimi's past image can be improved, however, having a past on the internet nowadays is just like having a tattoo. Newspapers and articles always pop up first on the Google search engine. And of course, all of us know the fact that Chinese people are very web-oriented and know how to Google, and that doesn't help her situation. Moreover, her presence at Hathaway could hinder our company from entering into any of the Far East or foreign countries. To tell you the truth, because retail and service businesses are so local in nature, I wouldn't hire an expatriate in the Shanghai position. Chinese employees expect their leaders to be modest and humble and see them as highly respected authority figures with parent-like qualities. A modern Western-style leader who doesn't understand this will face high turnover rates and low productivity levels. And don't forget that it is much cheaper to hire a local manager in terms of salary and accommodations. Although Mimi is a very talented, original, and creative fashionable mind, she also is a very opinionated and brash person. If she believed in something firmly, she will defend it at any cost. Even though being a risk-taker is good, her risk-taker opinionated personality could have major consequences too. I also don't like that she winked at you and said boss on her way out of your office. It's so unprofessional. In all cases, your interview with her didn't take the professional path. It was arranged by her father, so you already had a fixed image of how she was. And since you started the interview by asking her about her mom, it was a casual interview more than a professional. I believe that giving Mimi a second interview is pointless in this situation. I don't believe that the risk of hiring Mimi is worth the reward. Hathaway Jones is already in a bad situation as it is. China is a very special country. If the Chinese government were to get involved, our expansion into China could be a disaster. Fred, I urge you to look for another qualified candidate that is local, preferably from Shanghai.
Also, Fred, there are a couple of options that could serve as a compromise between both Hathaway Jones and Mimi. If Mimi would accept a different type of position, then Hathaway Jones would love to have her. This way she would still be a member of our team, but she wouldn't be in such a high-profile position. One possibility is to have Mimi serve as a remote advisor from the United States to a Chinese manager. She might also be an excellent member of a managerial team that might work behind the scenes in China. This way her Chinese expertise could be used, but she wouldn't be placed at the forefront of Hathaway Jones's international image.
I appreciate all your input. One thing I do know is we're definitely living in a different age than it was when I started this business. And I've been having a hard time since we've uncovered this information about Mimi. I've been trying to determine where exactly our moral boundaries lie on this matter. With the amount of information out there that is so readily available at the click of a mouse, I see this as being an issue that we will be dealing with from now on. And from your feedback, it is evident that there is no clear-cut solution. These situations are kind of a catch-22 that will have to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. And in saying that, I have reached a decision on Mimi, and your thoughts today have helped consecrate my decision. My first step will be to set up another meeting with her. Anyone can see Mimi as a rising star in our business. She possesses exactly what we need in order to get our company back on a winning track. When you've been in this business as long as I have, you develop a knack for pegging a winner when you see one. Mimi is a natural leader and very opinionated and has a type A personality. Those traits carry great benefits in the business world. But those very same traits and attitudes that help you succeed can also be a detriment to you, especially if your personal convictions cause you to exhibit those traits and opinions in a way that could hinder your professional career. For example, this reminds me of the countless actors and musical artists that felt the need to stand up and make snide remarks about the U.S. government's decision-making a few years back. You know, we all have opinions, but sometimes it's better to keep your mouth closed in order to keep your credibility and overall good standing professionally. I don't think that Mimi's incident will create roadblocks in every avenue of her career, but I think it could cause her major problems in China. So I'm inclined to agree that placing Mimi in this role may be more of a liability than an asset. And that pains me to say because Mimi is not just an incredible candidate. She is a friend. But I decided a long time ago that I will not put personal interest ahead of business interest. You cannot succeed if you do. The evidence against Mimi is indisputable, although there are steps she can take to begin repairing her image. But our moment is now, and Hathaway Jones doesn't have the time or the resources to take a chance on her at this moment for this position. So when I speak to Mimi again, I will tell her the truth. Who knows, she may be willing to discuss other roles within Hathaway Jones. But let's get back to our main objective, moving forward and assembling our team for this China project. We will start to look for new candidates both internally and externally to Hathaway Jones. And I'm kind of liking the idea that our best solution may be to find a Chinese native for this role. But we have no time to spare. Let's beat the bushes and let's find the one.